The alien classroom was filled with attention that no one, human or otherwise, could deny. Across a vast array of intergalactic species, from the towering Araxians to the smooth-skinned Talgons, a strange question had been raised. A young, wide-eyed Zelvaran student, one of the brightest minds in the newly founded Galactic Unity Academy, had just posed a thought that rattled the core of the galaxy's understanding of humanity. "Humans avoid war out of mercy?" asked the student, his voice trembling, barely able to process the implications of his own words. The classroom fell into stunned silence. Professor Vinar, a veteran scholar of galactic history and a member of the formidable Grifton species, furrowed his brow. His race, known for their merciless conquest of star systems, had long seen humanity as little more than a fledgling species, eager, yes, but primitive. The Grifton had watched humanity's rise to power from the edges of known space with bemused indifference. Yet now, this question, this idea, was unsettling. "You misunderstand," Vinar said, his voice low and deliberate, as though trying to stabilize the wobbling foundation of his own worldview. "Humans have avoided war because they lack the capacity to win. Their technology is rudimentary. Their fleets are weak, and their species is divided. They've survived only by staying out of our way." The Zelvaran student, named Krelek, shook his head vehemently. "That's not what I mean. In every recorded conflict, in every single engagement between humans and any other species, they always do the unthinkable. When victory is within their grasp, they pull back. When they have the power to obliterate their enemies, when they could burn entire worlds, they hesitate. They show mercy." Mercy, this word sent a ripple through the room, a wave of discomfort and disbelief. Mercy, in the galaxy's brutal theater of war, mercy was a commodity too costly for most species to comprehend. If a species could not destroy its enemy utterly, it was weak. There was no place for weakness in this universe. Only the strong survived. Only the merciless reigned. But Krelek's eyes were unyielding. "I've seen the data, Professor. I've read about the Terran war with the Zarneth, the one that nearly destroyed them, and the accounts from the Emry Quan skirmishes. When other species would have razed the planet to the ground, the humans retreated. They refused to annihilate. Mercy, every time." Vinar's expression hardened. "Your observations are flawed, young one. Those are the actions of an immature species, unable to understand the true cost of war. Mercy is a weakness. It's a sign that humans fear the consequences of absolute victory." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. The Grifton were not the only ones who shared this belief. The other students, from races across the galaxy, all nodded or made noncommittal sounds. They had seen the bloodshed of the endless wars, the fractured alliances, the genocides that had shaped the universe's history. Mercy had no place there. It was a tool used only by the defeated. To forgive an enemy, to allow them to live, was to invite their vengeance. Yet Krelek remained unmoved. "You're wrong," he said quietly, his voice filled with a quiet intensity that even Vinar could not dismiss. "I saw the reports from the latest war, the war the human race fought against the Zelkoth. It was supposed to be a routine victory. The Zelkoth had launched an invasion, their fleets overwhelming the humans on several fronts. And yet, instead of finishing them off, after the Zelkoth had invaded Earth's closest colonies and slaughtered millions, humanity offered a peace treaty. They asked for terms." His eyes widened, disbelief still coloring his features. "Do you understand what that means? The humans, instead of striking back with overwhelming force, chose to negotiate, even after their people were massacred." "Mercy." Krelek's voice grew quieter, more personal. "The Zelkoth didn't understand either. They laughed when the humans suggested peace. They called it weakness. But when they saw Earth's fleet, they realized their mistake. The humans had been holding back. And when they saw the fleets that could have destroyed them, the fleets that would have destroyed them if anyone else had been in charge, the Zelkoth capitulated." The room was silent again. This time, it was not disbelief that clouded the air, but something more profound. Fear. Fear that this young Zelvaran student might be onto something. Vinar's face twitched, a rare moment of unease. "And what do you really think, Krelek?" he asked. "That humans are merciful by choice? Or are they merciful because they lack the power to wipe us all out?" Krelek stared at the professor, eyes flashing with the intensity of someone who had witnessed more than they were ready to understand. "I think it's something else. I think humans have something we all lack. something none of us understand. Mercy is not weakness for them. It is strength. They are not afraid of destruction. They are afraid of becoming what we are. They refuse to be like us. For the first time in the history of Galactic Unity Academy, the room fell into a hushed, unsettled silence. A few students shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others exchanged worried glances. Vinar, the professor who had known the galaxy's history of conquest and violence better than anyone, now found himself questioning the very foundation of everything he had believed. Strength is knowing when to strike and when to spare, Krelek continued, his voice gaining strength. And in that, humans are more powerful than any of us. I think they have seen what we are, and they choose not to be like us. Vinar's response was cold, though there was a tremor of doubt in his voice. Enough of your nonsense, Krelek. I am no fool. You are a brilliant student, but you've been brainwashed by human propaganda. Mercy is weakness, nothing more. Every time humanity hesitates, every time they spare their enemies, it's out of fear. Fear that they can't win. Fear that they're too weak. Krelek stood up, his voice rising, raw with conviction. And that's where you're wrong, Professor. The humans don't fear victory. They fear becoming like you. Like us, he gestured toward the species around him. The Grifton, the Araxians, the Talgons, the other races who had conquered planets and built empires through blood and destruction. They fear becoming merciless, and that fear gives them more strength than anything we've ever known. The class remained in stunned silence. Vinar opened his mouth to respond but hesitated. For the first time in his life, the seasoned warrior professor was at a loss for words. What if the Zelveran student was right? What if humanity's reluctance to engage in total war was not due to weakness, but to a kind of strength that had never before been seen in the galaxy? It wasn't until the next day that the true depth of humanity's mercy would come into focus for all of them. The galaxy's leaders, the very same beings who had once looked down on humanity as a primitive race, received an urgent transmission. It was from Earth itself, transmitted across every network, in every language, to every corner of the galaxy. The message, short and direct, left no room for misinterpretation. We, the human race, have chosen peace. We offer you all one final chance. Join us, or we will sever our ties with your empires for good. The future we seek will be one of cooperation and mutual respect. We are not interested in war. The leaders of the galaxy were stunned. The message wasn't a threat. It wasn't a demand. It was an invitation. And then the final line struck like a dagger to the heart of every conqueror, every empire builder in the galaxy. Mercy is not weakness. It is our strength, and we offer it to you all. In that moment, the galaxy's power structure shifted. The races that had long relied on fear and force began to question everything. Could they truly continue their campaigns of conquest and destruction? Could they maintain their empires by holding on to the old ways, or had they just witnessed the rise of something new? Something far more dangerous than any weapon or army. Humanity's mercy. And Krelek, the Zelveran student who had first seen this for what it was, watched it all unfold with a quiet satisfaction. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Now, it would never forget them.